The story begins with the desolate scene at the border of the Great Chaos Continent, where the 9 Deaths, one life realm lies amidst thousands of crumbling, precarious rock formations. This is a treacherous terrain where life and death blend in chaos, with bones scattered everywhere. The gathering of fierce beasts here leaves one uncertain of their safety. Amidst this scene, a girl struggles to explore, beads of sweat dotting her chest from exhaustion. With each step, she breathes heavily. Phew, she stops to rest, glancing around wearily, then says, "Since I enter here, I've been chased by a black lightning bull for 3 whole days. A lifetime grandmaster like me, the 990th sect leader of Wangxian, has been reduced to this state." In her heart, she begins to feel anxious, wondering, could he really be hiding here? Qingqing recalls not long ago when her master fell gravely ill. In his dying moments, he struggled to impart a few words to her. "Cough, cough, Qingqing, my lifespan has reached its end. Now I pass the position of sect leader to you," her master said, his voice growing weaker, each word filtered through increasingly labored breaths. He fought through the pain, continuing to instruct, "Next, I will be brief. You must remember what I tell you in your heart." Lu Qingqing worriedly clutched her master's wrinkled arm, sobbing as she said, "Master, I'm here." Her master's eyes were half closed from fatigue, his gaunt face nearly devoid of vitality. He spoke in a weak voice, each word trembling. "Kick off, Qingqing, don't be sad. Our Wangxian sect is now just a third-rate sect about to be destroyed by the Divine Sword sect. Actually," he paused, coughing loudly as if to release the pain tearing at his heart, then continued. 100,000 years ago, during the era of primordial chaos, our Wangxian sect was once a great high-level sect. Don't mention the current Divine Sword sect. They weren't even worthy of licking our shoes back then." A harsh cough seized him, but he held it back, his eyes shining with bright memories. "At that time, our sect had a grandmaster who was renowned throughout the world. He was not only handsome and generous but also highly educated, with features that were impeccably refined. Even the grass beneath his feet dared not be trampled. His martial prowess, it could be said that Lin Deyu was no match for Yang Liu, sweeping across the Great Chaos Continent. Unmatched by anyone. An absolutely invincible existence, truly admirable and very handsome." The master's tale seemed to transport Lu Qingqing back to the golden age of the sect, but the harsh reality before her only deepened the pain in her heart. The trembling arm was raised, and master tried his best to speak with slow gestures, his voice coarse but clear. But the grandmaster was born without reason and also retreated without reason. 100,000 years ago, the grandmaster chose to live in seclusion at the 9 Deaths, one life realm in the Great Chaos Continent. To be honest, it is not an ordinary place. The 9 Deaths, one life realm, is a place where wolves roam like a jungle, and fierce beasts are everywhere. Anyone who is not a true hero would find it hard to survive. I was once lucky enough to pass through there, but as soon as I set foot in, I was so frightened that I didn't even recognize myself anymore. Fortunately, at that time I had brought enough clothes, otherwise I wouldn't have had time to run." He forced a smile, his expression still somewhat haunted. "At that moment, running away under the twilight, I realized that my youth had been lost forever. Truly, it was a terrifying experience." Qingqing, sitting beside him, watched him struggle to illustrate, thought he seemed completely healthy, not knowing that this weakness was merely an act. She was surprised to see master lean forward, take out a token, and use his last bit of strength to show it off. Fortunately, before going into seclusion, the grandmaster left behind a mysterious token for the sect. He said that if the sect faced life and death danger, just bring this token to the 9 Deaths, one life realm, and you would be able to find him. There the grandmaster would ensure safety, take care of lodging, and assign clear tasks. If you do well within 300 years, you might even be able to buy a mount. The last statement eased the tense atmosphere, but everyone understood that master's words carried great expectations. 500 years can buy a cave mansion. Suddenly he pretended to be aggrieved, sobbing, "Hoo-hoo. Such selfless dedication, thinking of those struggling cultivators like us. I ask you, Grandmaster, what spirit is this?" "It is the spirit of great socialism." "Impressive." The more Lu Qingqing listened, the more annoyed she became. She suddenly fell into a state of confusion, her emotions in an unusual turmoil. Sect leader Wang of Wangxian sect looked at his female disciple with a worried gaze. After speaking too much, the corners of his mouth were now filled with blood. Breathing weakly, he struggled to utter his last words. Cough, cough. Qingqing, do you remember? Now the only way to save the sect is that you must find the Grandmaster before the protective formation is broken. You must rebuild Wangxian sect. As he said this, he suddenly spat out a large mouthful of blood, collapsed onto his knees, and passed away. Lu Qingqing was stunned, crying out, Master. She sobbed, choked up and unable to speak. Disciple, I. It turns out Lu Qingqing cried not because she couldn't bear to witness the teacher-student separation, but because she had forgotten her master's instructions. Such an unforgettable memory would be forever etched in her heart. Lu Qingqing still felt an unending sense of emotion. She softly called out to her master. Perhaps this disciple is missing you again. She took out her master's token, gazing at it intently while thinking, Master, the Grandmaster has been living in the 9 deaths, one life realm for 100,000 years. Is he really still in this world? Suddenly, from afar, an ancient monster appeared. It soared high above, seemingly scouting the situation. Its piercing cry echoed, startling Lu Qingqing. Unexpectedly, the beast dove straight down towards her. With its colossal size and the pressure it exuded, it filled Lu Qingqing with horror. In panic, she screamed, "Ay!" Staring at the monster before her, she trembled and muttered, "Oh my, this is the great monster from legend, the Dark Phoenix." Lu Qingqing became even more terrified as she recalled the rumors. The legend says that the Dark Phoenix is a brutal creature, fond of devouring humans, possessing unrivaled power. Even the masters of the Divine Sword sect could only meet a tragic end when facing it. The beast drew increasingly closer. Lu Qingqing, losing all sense of direction, collapsed to the ground. Tears streamed down her face as her heart ached. Could it be that I haven't found the Grandmaster and must lose my life here? Master, I'm sorry. Suddenly, the creature swung its wings fiercely, striking the ground and creating a deafening explosion. Lu Qingqing was thrown onto the back of the beast. She was immediately startled by its actions, involuntarily exclaiming a soft The Dark Phoenix flew her straight into a violent vortex. The mist and smoke enveloped the area, creating a dark and dangerous landscape imbued with a primal essence. The chaos and slaughterous scenes left her in awe. Lu Qingqing pondered, the Dark Phoenix didn't eat me. Instead, it allowed me to ride on it. Is this a dream? How can a great beast like the Dark Phoenix allow a human to ride it? Or does it want to take me somewhere? A person and a beast soared deep into the very heart of the 9 deaths, one life realm. This place was both perilous and desolate, embodying an enigmatic cyclical existence. The Dark Phoenix landed in a grand hall. It gently leaned to allow Lu Qingqing to dismount easily. Then, unexpectedly, it spoke. Master, the task has been completed. Hearing this, Lu Qingqing was so surprised that she was left speechless. She looked at it with a puzzled gaze. It can talk. From above the hall, a deep and majestic male voice echoed down. All right, step back. The Dark Phoenix replied softly, Yes, master. Lu Qingqing's heart raced in horror at the exchange. There is someone here. An awkward moment ensued as she bowed respectfully to the mysterious figure above. Younger generation Lu Qingqing respectfully greets you. May I ask who you are? Her heart was filled with unease, anxious about the situation before her. This person is who even the Dark Phoenix has to bow and acknowledge his authority? Suddenly, a medallion flew out from Lu Qingqing's body. She stared blankly as it detached from her. A second later, recovering her senses, she panicked and raised her hand, shouting loudly, Why did you take my medallion? The other person caught the medallion in his hand, laughing mockingly, Ha, take! To dare call it taking from this Grandmaster? Lu Qingqing was stunned, but immediately understood. She murmured, Could it be, you are the first-generation sect leader of Wangxian sect, Grandmaster Chen Zhuan? The other person did not respond, only smiled. Chen Zhuan, imposing and dignified, stepped into the light. His silver hair glimmered like moonlight, his attire radiant, exuding the nobility and authority of a supreme sect leader. Lu Qingqing immediately knelt down, respectfully saying, "I am Lu Qingqing, the 990th generation sect leader of Wangxian sect. I implore the first-generation Grandmaster to return from seclusion, hoping you will come back to manage Wangxian sect." Chen Xuan remained silent for a moment, his gaze revealing a hint of amusement. He pondered. The Wangxian sect has been hidden for 100,000 years, and yet there are still people who remember me. He stroked his chin and said slowly, "Tell me everything that has happened." After listening to Lu Qingqing explain the entire situation, Chen Xuan merely nodded lightly, his eyes reflecting contemplation. "Are you saying that a group of semi-corrupted demigods from Divine Sword sect almost seized my territory?" Chen Xuan's eyes flashed with urgency as he cleared his throat and continued, "It's only been over 100,000 years, and the power I've built has deteriorated to this extent. I, someone who has crossed over from another world, have never endured such humiliation." Lu Qingqing suddenly came to her senses, murmuring in confusion, "Ah, the Grandmaster is talking about the semi-corrupted demigods, and what the hell is this crossing over thing?" The atmosphere in the room became oppressive. Chen Xuan took a sip of tea and exhaled deeply to ease the situation. He slowly began to introduce himself. "Correct, my name is Chen Xuan, and I am someone who has crossed over to this world. Previously, I came with a special system when I stepped into this fantastical world. The first place I arrived at was the Wangxian sect. The system stated that as long as I could establish my own power, I would receive rewards for cultivation, and the cradle that could recognize the cultivation I built was the Imperial Dynasty. At that time, with the help of the system, I established a powerful force in Hongming continent, which had long been the cradle of the Wangxian sect for generations. Cultivation under the reward system continues to rise. In no time, I became the supreme existence in the Hongming continent. This continent consists of 7 realms: Realm of Mind Focus, Key Cultivation Realm, Drunken Bone Realm, Yang Spirit Realm, Divine Transformation Realm, Dao Principles Realm, and Dao King Realm. All are under my command, Chen Xuan. I proudly flaunted my system interface. Love me alone in the dark alley. Love my unbeatable appearance as well." Chen Xuan continued with his introspective lamentations. "I originally thought that after reaching the pinnacle in the Hongming continent, I would go to another continent to establish my own sect. I still remember when I bid farewell to the disciples of various sects, they were all reluctant to part ways. 'Grandmaster, without you, how will we survive? Grandmaster, please don't leave.' At that moment, I just sat in the system interface, filled with emotion. The Grandmaster must move on to the next station. Take care of yourselves." An unexpected turn of events unfolded. But just then, the system suddenly malfunctioned. A familiar sound echoed. Ting, ting. "System notification, you have experienced all the content of the current version." The abrupt statement left me choking up, and I hurriedly asked, "What will happen?" The system replied succinctly with 3 words, "Will shut down." As the words ended, the system interface immediately went dark. Chen Xuan froze, standing alone in midair. A moment later, gravity pulled him down, and he fell straight into the abyss before the astonished eyes of thousands of disciples from various sects. His scream echoed throughout the barren Rocky Mountains. "Oh dear, oh my." The witnesses were taken aback. Some shook their heads while others swallowed hard. Grandmaster Chen Xuan was plunged straight into a state of mental shock. His body turned icy cold. The cup of tea in his hands had gone cold long ago, leaving him no chance to enjoy it. He sighed, his face blank, murmuring, "So I can't break through anymore. Not being able to break through means there are still people stronger than me in this world. And if there are people stronger than me, then my undefeated status is no longer secure." Lu Qingqing quietly observed. Her gaze held a hint of sympathy, but she couldn't hide her amusement at his helpless expression. She gently called out, "Grandmaster Chen Xuan?" Chen Xuan didn't respond right away. He was lost in thought, resting his hand on his forehead, bowing his head as if questioning himself. "If I'm not secure, how can I become a salted fish? And if I can't become a salted fish, then I'll be chopped down by others. He sprang up, his eyes glimmering with a touch of sorrow. Oh dear, that's right. A mistake. This guy made a mistake. Only after being undefeated can I lie down and be a salted fish. Lu Qingcheng couldn't help but chuckle softly. She reminded him, Grandmaster, perhaps you should reconsider your definition of salted fish. Lu Qingcheng looked at his reaction, feeling astonished in her heart. She wondered, what's wrong with the Grandmaster? She could only see Chen Zhuan sitting like a recluse, talking to himself. He muttered, I fear there are powerhouses from other continents coming to kill me. That's why I've had to hide in the 9 Deaths, one life realm of the Hongmei continent for 100,000 years. This is the state I'm enduring. He curled up, lost in thought within his inner world. I'm really pitiful. I'm too weak, I must not be strong enough. Without a system, I don't dare to go outside to play. I will definitely be killed by others. In fact, the system had explained to him many times if he was very strong, but he refused to believe it. He even frightened himself with strange dreams. Last night, I dreamed that a powerhouse from another continent came to kill me. I've endured in that for 100,000 years. Looking at how he imagined and feared so, even outsiders had to sigh. This is indeed the final stage of delusional victim syndrome. Chen Xuan also found it hard to understand himself. He thought, but now even a divine sword sect of the Hongmei continent dares to trample on my head. Could it be that they really don't see me as anything? He was lost in thought, his hand unconsciously fiddling with a small sip of the harmonious energy to ease his boredom. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. What if I just let it go and casually unleash a palm strike to blow up the divine sword sect? Just then, the system unexpectedly announced, Ding ding, the sect system upgrade has been completed. Qin Xuan stared at the screen, momentarily stunned, and before he could react, the system continued to boot up. The light from the interface illuminated his face, accompanied by the announcement, New mission launched, 6 rounds of trials before progressing to the next continent. Reading this, he gradually grasped the situation. A wave of horror surged in his heart as he wondered, next continent? What the hell is this? The screen continued to display mission information. First trial round. Assist the younger generation, Lu Qingcheng, in resolving the sex crisis. Note, the master must not take direct action. Everything must be handled by the younger generation themselves. Rewards will be given upon completion of the trial, or when the younger generation's cultivation breaks through. The master will also receive corresponding rewards. After reading this, Chen Chuan could only be dumbfounded, dazed, and then he toppled over. He mumbled to himself, Oh my God, another new mission. Finally, this system has decided to upgrade. Immediately after, the system's monotone voice rang out. Will the master accept the mission? He felt overwhelmed with happiness when he saw the system return to him. His whole body trembled, tears streaming down his face. He exclaimed, So there's a chance to go to another continent, right? Qin Xuan shouted, his voice choked as he faced the response from the system. Is that even a question? Lu Qingcheng, standing nearby, observed the emotional display of joy and anger that was no different from witnessing a genuine performance by Chen Zhuan. His gaze lingered on the system interface, his facial expression seemingly devoid of any clear emotions. Not able to hold back, she stepped forward and gently called out, Grandmaster, Grandmaster. However, his gaze gradually shifted towards her, causing Qingcheng to ponder. Why is the Grandmaster suddenly staring at me like that? Does he actually notice me? But with such an age difference, could he accept me? Just then, Chen Xuan suddenly spoke up, his tone resolute. I accept. His unexpected words struck Lu Qingcheng like a bolt from the blue, making her unable to hold back a gasp. Ah! Qin Xuan grasped her hand, his eyes bright with joy as he spoke to himself. Haha, that system told me to recruit Yi and nurture the next generation to receive rewards. But it didn't allow me to act directly. It seems I have to let Xiao Luo take action instead. Lu Qingcheng completely misunderstood Chen Zhuan's action. She thought to herself, is the Grandmaster confessing to me? Then will it lead to the forbidden training between master and disciple? Increasing these degenerate plot elements, how can I accept this? Her mind began to wander, even thinking about naming their future children. A son named Chen Chang would be good, but seeing how self-absorbed I am, could this be a sign of the late stage of love? Meanwhile, Chen Xuan remained calm, not noticing Lu Qingcheng's strange expression. He casually asked, "By the way, Xiao Lu, my grandmaster is very tough. But are you tough?" The unexpected question left Lu Qingcheng bewildered. She hesitantly asked back, her voice soft, "What do you mean by tough?" Chen Xuan withdrew his hand and seriously explained, "What I mean is, forging iron requires oneself to be tough. Do you understand this principle? Regarding the sex matters, I won't help you. You'd have to rely on yourself to solve it. This grandmaster will never get involved, even if it costs me my life." At this moment, Lu Qingcheng finally understood his meaning. She sighed, her voice filled with disappointment. "Ah, it's tough in that sense." She became completely despondent. After a moment, she sadly said, "But Grandmaster, the sect leader of the Divine Sword sect has the Heavenly Sword battle oath. How can I possibly defeat him? I can't withstand even 3 moves. Based on oneself, it is certain to die." Ken Xuan also realized this. "Oh, is that so? That's right. The opponent has the Heavenly Sword battle oath while you have nothing at all." Lu Qingcheng sighed, deducing for herself, "The Grandmaster must be worried about my insufficient strength, wanting to pass down some divine skill or precious artifact to turn the situation around." She told herself, "The Grandmaster is indeed a soft-hearted immortal." But in reality, Chen Xuan arrogantly responded, "Then the Grandmaster can only gift you a set of clothes. When the time comes, wearing them will surely look better than those lowly battle physique." These words completely crushed Lu Qingcheng. She was reluctantly pulled along by him. "Come on, the Grandmaster will take you to pick out some clothes." Lu Qingcheng could only cry inwardly, wondering it's a matter of life and death, and still the question is whether the clothes look good or not. Saying that, she suddenly widened her eyes and realized, wait. I understand now, it's funeral clothes. It turns out the Grandmaster wants me to die while still maintaining my dignity. Kim Swan snapped his fingers. Poof. The scene immediately changed. He brought Lu Qingcheng to a strange space. She couldn't help but be astonished, glancing around frequently, her eyes wide open. Lu Qingcheng actively asked, "Master, where is this?" Chen Xuan replied gently, "This is my dressing room." Chen Xuan cupped his hands to his mouth and spoke loudly to the people in front. "Hey, my descendant needs a set of clothes. Who among you is willing to follow her?" Lu Qingcheng looked at the 4 figures in front of her. They wore 4 outfits of different colors. She was astonished, gazing carefully for a moment before exclaiming, This is clothing. No, this is clearly fire, water, wind, earth, the 4 phenomena of battle physique. And each of them surpasses the innate battle physique," she observed carefully. A surge of intense emotion rose in Lu Qingcheng's heart. Looking at the wind figure, she felt as if she was being drawn in. Her voice was a whisper, her eyes shining brightly. "If I wear this, oh my, isn't it as if the whole world was born just for Lu Qingcheng?" She smiled dreamily. "With such a body, just thinking about it makes me feel like I'm already several times more charming." But after a moment, she pointed at the fire figure and turned to Chen Xuan. "Master, I want this one." Before she could finish her sentence, Chen Xuan abruptly kicked all the figures away, not forgetting to shout loudly, "Get out of Lu Qingcheng's sight immediately." He grimaced, shaking his head with discomfort. "So ugly, how would my descendant dare to wear this to meet people? Quickly change for a new batch. It must be of a level suitable for a Paris Fashion Week." Lu Qingcheng was stunned in the face of Chen Xuan's prejudice. She muttered with an embarrassed expression, "Did I just see the Grandmaster blow up the entire battle physique statue with a kick?" Right behind her, the atmosphere suddenly shifted strangely. Lu Qingcheng quickly turned around, her gaze landing on a gloomy purple battle physique statue that radiated an aura of malevolence. She reminded herself, primordial supreme poison body. Lu Qingcheng immediately recalled the legend from thousands of years ago. It was said that the lone Azura, possessing the incredibly toxic innate poisonous technique body, single-handedly charged into the mountains to save his mother. He challenged 100 heavenly azures without suffering a scratch and won overwhelmingly. That achievement shocked the world. At that time, a battle physique statue faced 100 opponents, with corpses littered beneath the feet of the poison cultivator, instilling fear in all who beheld it. Looking at the statue before her, Lu Qingcheng couldn't help but exclaim, "The poison body is the path to invincibility. Why rely on the strength of others?" The noble and majestic aura emanating from the statue filled her with admiration. With determination flashing in her eyes, Lu Qingcheng emotionally pointed at the battle physique statue and said to Chen Zhuan, "Grandmaster, I want to have this." However, Chen Zhuan merely scoffed. He waved his hand mercilessly, completely destroying the statue. He sternly reminded her, "Daughter, it would be better not to dress and act too defiantly." Lu Qingcheng felt as if she had collapsed. She sank to the ground, filled with regret. She sighed and murmured, "Such rare poison bodies exist in the world, yet the Grandmaster shattered it with a single blow." The other battle physiques appeared and then vanished like a cycle. The conversation between Lu Qingcheng and Chen Zhuan went on endlessly, as if it would never come to an end. Lu Qingcheng sighed, "So I want the coexisting with thunder, mental mutation thunder sword body." Chen Zhuan smirked, looking over. "Himph, too gaudy, not suitable." Lu Qingcheng then shifted direction. "What about the spirit water body that was once the battle physique of the Empress?" Chen Zhuan flatly shook his head, "Not modern enough." She didn't give up. Floating golden immortal body. Legend says it can stand shoulder to shoulder with deities. Chen Zhuan frowned, sneering. Just hearing the name makes it feel outdated. Lu Qingcheng pouted. Then I want this one." This time, Chen Zhuan said nothing, immediately destroyed it without needing to argue. Lu Qingcheng held her head, lamenting, "Oh dear, Grandmaster, are you destroying the battle physique or my weak spirit here?" Chen Zhuan ignored her reproach, still calmly browsing through items, pretending not to care about her feelings. She began to cry, clinging to his leg. "Don't destroy it anymore. Don't destroy it anymore. The last one, no matter what, must be kept for me." In the end, Chen Zhuan also relented. He handed her a set of clothes, saying as he gave it, "Fine then. This one looks quite decent. Colors and patterns match you." Like being freed, Lu Qingcheng nodded repeatedly. "Aha, aha, aha." In her heart, she quietly cheered. "Oh ancestors, as long as I'm not chosen anymore, anything is good. I'm very easy to please." He looked at the outfit in his hands, thoughtfully evaluating it for a while before saying, "Yes, but your taste is still insufficient. I fear that wearing this outfit will lead to you being burned alive by the flames of trend." Lu Qingcheng, hearing this, didn't understand. She tilted her head and asked, "Burned by taste? Does the Grandmaster mean that I have only reached the realm of mind focus, and if I forcibly harness the flames of battle physique, I could end up burning to death?" The feeling of regret hadn't yet faded when despair surged up. She mumbled gloomily, "But I am the last hope of the sect. If I don't seize this opportunity, the people of the sect will all perish." Lu Qingcheng thought for a long time and finally made up her mind. She raised her head, showing a determined expression, and said to Chen Zhuan, "Grandmaster, I want to try." Chen Zhuan did not hesitate. He channeled his energy, his hands subtly shifting as he transformed the outfit to fit her body perfectly. "All right, then try it on." Lu Qingcheng quickly donned the outfit. The moment she finished putting it on, her entire being seemed to change. The fusion fire combat body outfit seemed to radiate with brightness. The temperature from the outfit gradually increased, spreading throughout her body, causing Lu Qingcheng to panic and scream. "Ah, Grandmaster, I'm so hot." King Xuan raised his hand to regulate the energy within the outfit, his voice calm yet authoritative. "Do not resist. The first time always hurts." He observed silently. This was the great Sun Yang body, far surpassing the capabilities of an ordinary battle physique. So what would a battle physique talent be? Chen Xuan muttered, his eyes flashing with satisfaction. Compared to this, it's nothing at all. At this moment, Lu Qingcheng could barely hear Chen Xuan's words. Her entire focus was dominated by the scorching heat from the battle physique. The temperature kept rising like a flame burning her body, making her feel power surging but also experiencing immense pain. She could only endure, absorbing the heat while letting out a soft ah. Chen Xuan observed the situation of the female descendant and thought to himself, if she successfully cultivates the great Sun Yang body, this fire will grant her immortality. Just at that moment, Xiao Luo, with a fire attribute, selecting this volume seemed like fate. After a while of enduring the heat, Luo Qingcheng gradually reached the level of transforming celestial fire. The process of absorbing fire to perfect her battle physique had succeeded. She seemed to become a completely different person. Her entire body was suffused with blazing red spiritual fire, and a fiery mark appeared on her forehead. Luo Qingcheng touched her body, feeling the newfound strength. She smiled, enjoying the unfamiliar fragrant smell of burning fire, then sighed. I have successfully achieved harmony. When the battle physique receded, she realized this was indeed the great Sun Yang body. She sincerely bowed in gratitude. Chen Xuan, the descendant is Qingcheng. Thank you for granting me this physique, Grandmaster. Qin Xuan replied calmly, Rise, it is merely a technique. If you truly want to thank me, then rebuild the Wang Xian sect. After saying this, he mumbled to the system. System, the clothes willingly followed the descendant. It doesn't count as me taking action, right? The system immediately confirmed, does not count. After completing everything, Luo Qingcheng took her leave. Grandmaster, then I shall take my leave back to the sect. The situation there is urgent. I will return to express my gratitude to you later. Just as she was about to leave, Qin Xuan suddenly called out, Ah, wait. There's an important matter I need you to handle. Luo Qingcheng instantly became serious, her eyes gleaming with determination. She asked right away, Grandmaster, what is it? If needed, I will certainly risk everything to accomplish it. She was absolutely certain that if a character like the Grandmaster said this was a great matter, it must be something significant. However, Chen Xuan did not seem excited. He glanced at Luo Qingcheng, saw her cheerful and vibrant, and could only smile wryly before saying, Well, it's good that she has that insight, but this isn't easy. Saying that, he became serious, feigning the pose of a highly skilled person deep in thought, looking at her earnestly and asking, Does she know how to cook? Luo Qingcheng immediately showed a flustered expression, as if taken by surprise by a question that was beyond her expectations. She stood there dumbfounded, not understanding what the great matter the Grandmaster was actually referring to. Huh? She exclaimed with confusion. Before long, a sumptuous meal had been meticulously prepared by Luo Qingcheng. Dishes like stewed chicken with royal sauce, braised pork, and stir-fried peppers with meat were all colorful and delicious, making anyone who looked at them salivate. She wore a simple yet warm chef's outfit, creating a feeling that was both amusing and strange. Deep down, she silently lamented. The sect is facing life and death crisis, yet the Grandmaster tells me to cook here, and even forces me to wear this ridiculous outfit. It feels so odd. She gently bowed her head, addressing Chen Xuan, Grandmaster, the food is ready. Junior must return to the sect now. But how could Chen Xuan easily let such a beautiful cook with such delicious food leave? He smiled politely, holding her back. Don't be in a hurry, it has been a long time since anyone has dined with me. Come, try this piece of pork. Luo Qingcheng hesitated, feeling both flustered and a bit dissatisfied. She firmly said, Grandmaster, whether I die out there right now or even jump down here, I still have no mood to eat. But who would dare to defy Chen Xuan? He immediately placed a large piece of pork into the girl's mouth, causing her to nearly choke and cough violently. My Grandmaster. As soon as the piece of meat was swallowed, Luo Qingcheng felt the delicious flavor bursting in her mouth. She closed her eyes to savor it, blissfully enjoying this special delicacy. This is not ordinary pork. This is the meat of a holy unicorn, Qingcheng thought to herself. This type of meat was completely different from any she had tasted before. She couldn't stop exclaiming, so delicious, a wonderful delicacy. Just a small piece, and the pure energy from the fire spirit had spread throughout her body. In that moment, Qingcheng recalled the legend about the origin of this meat. It was said that 100,000 years ago, lone Nazarite, in an attempt to save his mother from a severe illness, decided to hunt the unicorn to obtain the holy item for healing. However, not only did he fail to catch one, but he was also forced by the unicorn to perform eloquent speech for 3 years to be spared. At that time, Lone Nazara, surnamed Oo, used all his talent to perform, illustrating with body language and rich words. The unicorns showed great interest, praising his performance as wonderful, and thus called him O Dak Gong. This illustrates the value and rarity of unicorn meat. Lu Qingcheng continued to chew and swallow with fascination, unable to hide her delight. She smiled in satisfaction. "Ha ha, so great." Ken Zuan looked at her, puzzled. "What's wrong with this girl? Is she choking?" Zhu Dao quickly handed her a cup of water, kindly saying, "Drink some water, don't rush." Lu Qingcheng waved her hand in refusal. "I'm fine, I'm not thirsty. Don't worry too much, Grandmaster Jr. is still okay." Chen Zuan forced Lu Qingcheng to drink a glass of water, his tone somewhat sarcastic. "Oh, you look so thirsty, go ahead and drink." Lu Qingcheng helplessly accepted the glass of water, not daring to refuse. She took small sips, but the water spilled out at the corners of her mouth, leaving small trickles down her shirt. As the cool water seeped into her body, a marvelous sensation spread throughout her, leaving her astonished. She widened her eyes, thinking to herself, "This is not ordinary water. This is clearly Jade Spring Divine Nectar. Furthermore, it's not just a drop, but a whole glass full." She glanced at the glass of water in her hand, and Chen Zhuan's mischievous smile. Lu Qingcheng's heart suddenly trembled. She reminded herself, "This divine water is worth tens of thousands of spirit stones, yet the Grandmaster gave me a whole glass to drink. Could it be, the Grandmaster truly loves me?" In a fit of emotion, Lu Qingcheng unexpectedly knelt down, hurling her head to the ground with a thud. She spoke with deep gratitude. "Grandmaster, such valuable Jade Spring Divine Nectar, I truly do not deserve to receive it. Thank you so much." Chen Zuan merely smiled and waved his hand. "No need to be so polite. I have an entire lake of this stuff." He turned around, gracefully extending his hand behind him, revealing a shimmering scene of the lake. The sight left Lu Qingcheng so astonished that she almost forgot to breathe. She looked at the vast lake before her with confusion in her heart, thinking, "Is this the Emperor's aura of the first-generation Grandmaster? This is truly beyond imagination." Suddenly, a thunderclap rang out by her ear. The girl jumped in fright, her face bemusedly glancing left and right before asking Chen Zhuan, "Oh, Grandmaster, there's thunder. It's too crude, and it seems I've broken through, becoming a drunken bone realm now." Chen Zhuan gently replied, "Ah, that's the thunder caused by the breakthrough." While she was still speaking, the system screen suddenly displayed a notification. "Ring. Descendant Qingcheng has leveled up, rewarding the master with 10,000 years of power." The thunder boomed again. Ken Zhuan was satisfied with the system's reward and also had an additional bonus. The thunder grew louder and spread widely, striking an entire bright sky. The system notified that Chen Zhuan had broken through to the second rank of Dao Sovereign. The bizarre events made Lu Qingcheng's eyes widen, still unable to adapt. Chen Zhuan still lightly laughed contentedly. He calmly said, "Haha, 100,000 years. I was stuck at the first rank of Dao Sovereign for 100,000 years, and now I can finally break through to the second rank. Indeed, I have now become a Chen Zhuan of the second rank Dao Sovereign." Wai Tai's advancement was clear through his imposing aura. He told himself that later he would secretly assist his disciples while continuing to level up. Lu Qingcheng asked with delight, "Grandmaster, is this celestial phenomenon caused by you?" He chuckled and replied, "Haha, there's nothing to fear, it's just a small breakthrough." The girl solemnly lowered her head once more, pondering, "If this is called a small breakthrough, then doesn't that mean I haven't broken through at all?" The girl respectfully said to Chen Zhuan, "So, Grandmaster, the sect is facing an urgent matter. I ask for your permission to return first." He hurriedly stopped her, smiling faintly. "What's the rush? Look at the sunset, it's so beautiful. Why hurry?" Chen Zhuan pointed to the evening sky, where the warm, fiery sunset enveloped a space. Then he smiled invitingly. "Come join me for a steam bath." Lu Qingcheng felt flustered but still followed his invitation, She arrived at the steam room, a mix of confusion and shyness filling her heart. Clutching her towel tightly around her body, she murmured, "Steam bath? What kind of bizarre activity is this? A grandmaster and a sect leader together in here. It's inappropriate for men and women." Lost in her thoughts, she wondered, why did he want me to dress like this? Could it be the grandmaster is that kind of person? In contrast to Lu Qingcheng's awkwardness, Chen Chuan was very relaxed. He leaned back, sighed, and said with a laugh, "So comfortable. What? Can't stand this temperature. This is how a steam bath should be." Noticing her discomfort, he quickly changed the topic. "How about I tell you a story?" Lu Qingcheng immediately nodded eagerly, showing her agreement. But her face turned as red as a ripened tomato, secretly thinking, "Oh dear, this grandmaster really is warm-hearted. It turns out he's not a rogue, just a bit peculiar." Kim Suan began to tell. This story is full of energy, titled Living Together Shyly. It's about a single man and woman living together. Lu Qingcheng suddenly jolted. The rhythm of the story sounded familiar, and she quickly reacted, "Wait a minute. This isn't an energetic story at all. Clearly, it's a romance novel." Dead, the Grandmaster is indeed a rogue. This time, it's truly like sending a lamb into the mouth of a tiger. Lu Qingcheng suddenly noticed that the energy around her was becoming increasingly dense. She couldn't help but ponder, wait, why is the mist gathering around me like this? But just after a moment, she was startled to realize something was amiss. This wasn't mist, it was spiritual energy so thick that it had turned into a tangible substance. She was even more astonished when she recognized that this density was perhaps hundreds, even thousands of times greater than the traditional spiritual energy of heaven and earth. Lu Qingcheng could still hear the calm storytelling voice of the Grandmaster. She saw him chuckling lightly as he said, "Fire of 10,000 desires, a burning fire that consumes everything." At this moment, Lu Qingcheng was taken aback to discover something. He continued to narrate. The young man Abin yearned daily to learn the verbal formula from her. Lu Qingcheng silently speculated in her heart that the Grandmaster's words did not seem merely a simple joke. Unexpectedly, this could be a legendary imperial-level cultivation technique. She collected details from the Grandmaster's story, relating it to the legend of the Fire of 10,000 Desires. Every day he thirsted to learn the verbal formula from her. If that's the case, Lu Qingcheng mused, and then suddenly remembered the pinnacle technique, 10,000 fires dividing the heaven technique. She understood very well the rankings of cultivation techniques. They are categorized from low to high as Huang, Xuan, Di, Tian, and Dai. Even though the Divine Sword sect is renowned for being the most powerful, it only reaches the Dai level. But now, what the Grandmaster said made Lu Qingcheng's heart race uncontrollably. In a moment of daze, she imagined the Grandmaster affectionately saying to her, "Woman, I wish to create a world. In it only I can bully you." These words echoed in her mind like an ambiguous confession, coupled with the notion of using an imperial-level cultivation technique to enchant others. Lu Qingcheng's face turned red, feeling both shy and dreamy. "Hoo, the Grandmaster truly loves me to death." Immediately after, she startled herself, saying, "No, I can't let the Grandmaster down. I must quickly cultivate." Only readers like us can recognize the truth that no, she is overthinking. Chen Chuan cast a probing glance. Finally, a glimmer of hope appeared, and he joyfully thought, "Ha, Xiao Lu has finally noticed." He said to the system, "System, pay close attention. I'm just leading the younger generation to eat, steam, and share stories." The system was so frustrated it wanted to blow smoke, but couldn't do anything. The next day, he officially released Lu Qingcheng and said a few parting words. "Xiao Lu, I have nothing more to entertain you with. If you want to go back, feel free." She quickly replied, "Yes, the younger generation Queen Than thanks Grandmaster for the great kindness." Yesterday, after spending some time in the steam room, she had broken through to the spirit-nourishing realm. She realized that Grandmaster had kept her around to gain enough strength to confront the Divine Sword sect. Qin Xuan, being hospitable, pulled out a calf and offered, "By the way, the road to Wangqian sect is long, so I gift you a calf for the journey. If you get hungry, you can roast it." Lu Qingqing looked at the calf with sparkling eyes. Her mouth watered as she praised, "Oh yeah, so adorable. Thank you, Grandmaster." She looked at the calf, feeling a bit of familiarity but couldn't figure it out. In the end she dismissed it and tidied up before taking the lovely calf back to her sect. Before leaving, she didn't forget to bid farewell. "Then Grandmaster, goodbye." Chen Xuan stayed behind, crying mournfully, instructing the person leaving, "Remember to come home often and check on the stars. Even if it's just to help the Grandmaster wash the dishes, that's fine." Once the figure was out of sight, he let out a sigh of relief. Chen Xuan looked up at the sky and laughed. "Haha, now that Qiu Luo has so many specialties, as long as I don't encounter anything bizarre, it will be fine." He wore a loose cloak and baggy shorts. Standing proudly under the sun, he shouted, "I should be able to deal with that divine convenience sect, right?" The system, upon hearing this, appeared confused, unable to comprehend what he was talking about. Chen Xuan threw off his cloak, wearing only his shorts, happily running around everywhere, laughing and saying, "Haha, Xiao Luo is gone. Now I can just wear shorts and comfortably go out to play with the big birds." The system immediately sent a warning message. "You are the bizarre one. Here there are no big birds aside from the dark phoenix." The scene shifted to a majestic high mountain, where a sect with a formidable atmosphere displayed its pride. The sect leader sat on the throne, sternly asking, "Have we obtained what I desire?" A man and woman subordinate standing below awkwardly replied, "Reporting to boss, we suffered a setback once, but we have attained the thing that the four of us wanted the most." The man added, "However, it seems that people from the kingdom of Vast Moon have been sent to hunt us down." The girl's subordinate pushed the demonic ball up to her superior. The one receiving it was the sect leader of the Divine Sword sect, Nameless Sword, a person with another identity as Tao Principle's realm. He took the precious item in his hands, and his eyes flickered with bold demonic aura. He coldly said, "Is that so? Forget it, this treasure has fallen into my hands. Even if they chase after us here, it will only be seeking death." But immediately after, when he touched the demonic ball, his body began to thrash as if experiencing a strange reaction. The pupils of Nameless Sword suddenly lost the usual demonic aura, only to shrink to the utmost extent. He was taken aback, exclaiming, "Ugh, what is happening to my body?" His voice gradually became suffocating and uncomfortable. "You all, what's happening to my body?" The crowd below watched their sect leader writhing in pain. He staggered, his divine essence becoming chaotic, mumbling unintelligible words. "You all are not members of the Divine Sword sect. I am sect leader Nameless Sword. Quickly return my body to me. If not, He abruptly stopped, his gaze becoming hollow, as if being controlled by an invisible force. Hesitating for a moment, Nameless Sword slapped his own right cheek hard. The pain jolted him, shifting his state, his voice trembling and tentative. His gaze suddenly flashed with a radiant dark energy, his whole being emitting a madness more intense than usual. His voice became deep, cold, and terrifying. Test, why are you so disrespectful every day? It's time to teach this disrespectful one a lesson." The true body of Nameless Sword wanted to break free but was flailed and absorbed into the dark devil's orb. His voice came out, trembling and full of fear. What do you want to do to me?" He screamed in anguish. "I don't want this anymore. My body can't take it anymore. I beg you, spare me, please." The wails gradually faded away. Nameless Sword was entirely swallowed by the dark devil's orb. His soul truly vanished, leaving behind a body completely possessed, now transformed into a new dark entity. He laughed loudly, the sound filled with terror. "Haha, the power. This power is incredible, but I need much more." Nameless Sword soared into the air, gripping the dark devil's orb tightly, then commanded, "Send the order down. Tomorrow instruct the sect to attack Wangxian sect. All of them will become my nourishment." The group of people, upon hearing this, responded simply, "Yes." The next day, at Wangxian sect, a bolt of lightning tore across the sky, piercing through the solid protective barrier of the sect. The legendary formation, said to be unbreakable, which had existed for many years, was now breaking apart, crumbling into countless fragments. Those inside panicked. "It's over. The sect's protective formation has been breached. Everything is spiraling out of control. Within the sect, countless corpses lay scattered across the ground, blood staining the area red. They whispered among themselves, "All these tragic events are caused by one reason. Divine Sword Sect has led people in to kill." Upon hearing this news, everyone in the city was shocked, horrified, and could not believe their ears. What? The protective wall has been broken. Every last fragment of spiritual power is gradually dissipating into nothingness. Yi Chen swaggered forward, casting a shadow over the entire area. He radiated a brilliant light, becoming the focal point of the night. He laughed maniacally. "Haha! Fellow brothers and sisters, aren't you going to run yet?" Yi Chen, a first-grade cultivation expert, was also considered somewhat capable. That's why he dared to be so arrogant. Moreover, he brought along 500 brothers, so his confidence was almost sky-high. Yi Chen sarcastically said, "Only those who know when to adapt are true elites. Your sect leader has already fled. Why not follow our lead and join the divine tribulation?" He showed off his arrogance and complacency in front of everyone's reactions. The crowd below heavily criticized him. They were not only angry at his attitude but also disappointed by the decay of this place. One person shouted in anger, "Yi Chen, you are the eldest senior brother, yet you recklessly lead the disciples to join the enemy. You are truly a disgrace to our sect. I curse you to die in unrest." But Yi Chen did not care about those words at all, even displaying a challenging expression. "Ha! I die in unrest? That should be the fate meant for all of you." Next, he ordered his army to charge in and kill them all. Lu Lingchen, covered in wounds, still stood alone at the front line, risking his life to protect his sect. He was determined that today he would live or die facing this traitor. "Impudent rebel, do you really think that Wangxian sect has no one left?" Lu Lingchen gritted his teeth, pronouncing each word with conviction. Yi Chen, standing beside him, glanced at the scene with mild interest. The person before him was the senior elder, the leader of Wangxian sect. Lu Lingchen was originally a master of the third rank of spiritual cultivation realm, but at this moment he was severely injured. His cultivation skills had been greatly depleted, to the extent that even breathing became immensely difficult. Everyone around couldn't help but worry. A disciple spoke up. "Master, Senior Elder Lu, your wounds have yet to heal, please stop." Despite everyone's earnest advice, Lu Lingchen remained resolute in performing his cultivation technique. He took a deep breath, his voice filled with determination. "Want to lay a hand on the people of Wangxian sect? It's not that easy." The supple movements of the arm, the flames surged up fiercely, the heat enveloping a vast area. Yi Chen felt a hint of panic. After all, his cultivation was 2 ranks lower than Lu Lingchen. If it came to a direct confrontation, his chances of winning were almost zero. Lu Lingchen, his entire body ablaze like a torch, clenched his fist and charged straight at the enemy before him. He shouted loudly, "You want to advance? Then step over my corpse first. Do you want to perish together with me or not?" Yi Chen was terrified by the reckless spirit of this old man. He thought to himself, "He's gone mad. Does he really want to burn everything just to launch this attack?" The flames of Lu Lingchen were indeed terrifying, but in the end they were still blocked. A sword that gleamed as if plated in silver intercepted that lethal strike. Standing opposite Lu Lingchen was the sword enthusiast, the top disciple of Divine Sword Sect. He was at the 8th level of the Nourishing Spirit realm, and the 2 swords in his hands shone unusually, easily stopping the powerful attack of Lu Lingchen. Sword enthusiast sneered disdainfully, his eyes looking down on Lu Lingchen as if watching a farce. "What do you intend to do to me with this little fading strength?" He spoke disdainfully. "Haha, sword technique isn't bad, quick enough. This guy is already strong, and with that bad temper, his notorious reputation has truly reached the Wangxian sect." The people around were left in awe at the scene. "Oh no, it's the sword enthusiast. The sword enthusiast is the strongest talented individual of the Divine Sword Sect. It is said that his abilities can rival even the senior elder." Lu Lingchen was truly nearing his limit. The flames surrounding him gradually faded, no longer burning fiercely as they had at the beginning. The Divine Sword sect has sent forth their best talent that needs nurturing. Is it true that our Wangxian sect cannot escape calamity today? The swordsman continued unleashing an onslaught of techniques. Each move he executed was treacherous. Just one hit would be enough to ascend to the heavens and reunite with the ancestors. His eyes bulged, exuding an overwhelming aura of killing intent. He sneered coldly, "Old useless thing, continued to burn your lifespan." Lu Lingchen was severely injured. On his chest were fatal stab wounds, to the point where the chance to dodge the blow was eliminated, not to mention counterattack. His entire body trembled, aching as he was nearly exhausted. He silently thought, his sword is too strong. The sword enthusiast fought with Lu Lingchen like a cat playing with a mouse. He steadily attacked, forcing the old man's dwindling vitality to deplete. In the end, he delivered a finishing blow and laughed with delight. "Senior brother, there is an opening." Lu Lingchen's body felt as if it were torn apart. He could only let out a gasp of "paft" before collapsing. Those below witnessed the heartbreaking scene, tears and snot streaming down their faces, calling out loudly, "Six, Senior Elder." Nevertheless, no matter how many times they called, it was in vain. He had been beaten to such an extent that merely breathing was already his last effort. The fierce battle ended in just a few short hours. The Divine Sword sect emerged victorious, and the band of villains following them cheered incessantly. Yi Chen lifted his face to the sky, mocking, "Haha, martial brother, what powerful martial arts! Sword enthusiast, put your sword away. Your lifespan has almost burned out. Junior brother, go clean up the remains of your master." Yi Chen stood to one side, putting on a flattering demeanor, responding sweetly, "Yes." The crowd below was filled with rage, collectively opposing, "Don't even think about touching Six, Senior Elder." Yi Chen, full of disdain, snorted coldly. Those who dared to stand in his way always shared the same fate. He coldly said, "Get lost." The next moment, he unleashed a palm strike downwards. A loud explosion echoed, the force of destruction creating a cloud of dust that billowed everywhere. Thousands were injured, the sounds of painful groans resonating throughout. Cough. Yi Chen swung his sword, charging straight towards Lu Lingchen. When the blade was just a hair's breadth from his opponent, he still tried to act fake, sweet-talking in a tone full of treachery. "Master, become my merit in the Divine Sword sect." Lu Lingchen coughed up blood, clenched the sword tightly in his hand, but felt helpless, unable to dodge. His expression radiated profound despair. Lu, the sect leader, has entered the 9 deaths. One life realm, the chances of survival are slim. I am the last line of defense for the Wangxian sect. If I die, does heaven truly turn its back on us? The tip of Yi Chen's sword was less than 10 centimeters away from Lu Lingchen. In that moment, all his efforts and hopes collapsed. Lu Lingchen was on the verge of giving up, only left to desperately wonder, is there truly not a glimmer of hope left for our Wangxian sect? At that moment, a sudden ray of light appeared from nowhere, sending Yi Chen flying thousands of feet away. His body crashed violently into a nearby pillar. The strike was so quick and powerful that Yi Chen didn't have time to evade, taking the full force of the terrifying energy. Everyone, including the sword enthusiast and Lu Lingchen, instinctively turned to look in one direction. Seeing Yi Chen die without closing his eyes right on the spot, his blood and flesh splattered, rocks and dirt flying everywhere, rendering his body unrecognizable. Everyone found the scene truly grotesque. However, no one cared about his grotesque appearance and death. What shocked everyone was the fact that Yi Chen had died. He, the right-hand man of the Divine Sword sect, who had slaughtered thousands of disciples from sects, had been completely defeated with just one blow. Lu Lingchen was also stunned, exclaiming, "Yi Chen, he is really dead." At that moment, Lu Qiqing appeared. Her long, slender legs gently touched the ground, walking as if weightless. She looked at everyone, her cold voice rang out. 100,000 years ago, the Divine Sword sect was just a small sect clinging to my Wangxian sect. Yet now, they dared to bully its master. When she appeared, her serious demeanor and heroic aura made no one dare to underestimate her. Beside her was a large bull, its majestic presence no less than that of its master. Seeing Lu Qingqing, the disciples of the sect were overjoyed and excited. They cheered. Ha, it's the sect leader. The sect leader has returned from the 9 deaths, 1 life realm. Lu Lingchen, who had just been on the brink of death, was now unbelievably healthy. His eyes were wide open, and his voice trembled. Sect leader, you haven't died. Have you invited the Grandmaster? Lu Qingqing, her hair flowing in the wind, smiled softly like a savior. She replied calmly, yes, I have found the Grandmaster. She scratched her head in a show of concern and sighed. But the Grandmaster refuses to emerge. He says we must live or die according to heaven's will. These words struck like a bolt of lightning. Everyone was stunned, only wanting to spit blood on the spot. Sword enthusiasts stood silently for a long time before speaking up. Senior brother, you are the newly appointed sect leader from the 9 deaths, 1 life realm of Wangxian sect, right? He laughed, a strange smile that was unsettling. His voice rang out. It's unclear whether he was telling a story or bragging. I once recklessly ventured there and nearly lost my life. But because of that experience, I comprehended a sword technique. However, because it is too powerful, I have yet to find anyone capable of withstanding it. He turned to look at Lu Qingqing, his gaze filled with suspicion. You survived and returned from the 9 deaths, 1 life realm as well. The people around began to sense something ominous. Just as they thought, he not only wanted to brag about his extraordinary sword technique, but was also subtly challenging the sect leader of Wangxian sect. He swung his sword, exuding power like a roaring dragon. The sword enthusiast accumulated spiritual power, his voice full of challenge. You must be able to withstand my strongest strike, right? Although he was cruel, vicious, and despicable, his sword technique had long been renowned far and wide. Everyone felt anxious. Lu Qingqing desperately tried to stop her. Sect leader, run away. The sword enthusiast is the strongest new generation in the divine sword sect, and has reached the 8th level of spiritual cultivation. You are still at the realm of mind focus. You can't match him. Even Lu Lingchen struggled to rise and advised. Sect leader, even in my prime, I couldn't withstand one of his full-strength strikes. However, Lu Qingqing had no intention of fleeing. She had changed from before and was no longer afraid of the 8th level or anything else. Confidently showcasing her talent, she ignited a flame in her hand, reassuring everyone. Ha, everyone, it's fine. Although the Grandmaster is not here, just leave everything to a sect leader who isn't at full capacity like me. The crowd below could only shout back. At this moment, the sword enthusiast truly resembled nothing human. His muscles bulged, as if wanting to rip through the fabric of his clothes. His eyes gleamed a ghostly green, and his head was sharply pointed, not unlike that of a sewer rat. He looked at Lu Qingqing with a contemptuous expression, a mocking tone in his laughter. Haha, a small flame dares to dream of challenging my towering sword intent. As he finished speaking, he swung his sword and shouted loudly, Self-willed dragon sword. His shout blended with the roar of a furious dragon, echoing throughout the heavens and the earth. Just listening was enough to make one's hands and feet go weak. Lu Qingqing merely smirked, her eyes cold and seemingly indifferent. She calmly executed her cultivation technique, her hand moving gently as the flame in her palm blazed even hotter. She said in a gentle yet sharp voice, Hack 10,000 fires dividing the heaven technique. The small flame suddenly transformed into a gigantic fire phoenix, charging straight towards the sword enthusiast. The phoenix tore through the dragon aura he had just built, causing the space itself to seem to ignite. The sword enthusiast panicked but was caught off guard. He was engulfed by the fire. The destructive heat ravaged his meridians, forcing him to convulse and writhe like a fish in a hot pan. His outer robe was burned to ashes, the heat seeping into every fiber of his flesh. If he were not completely charred, he would certainly have been singed. The sword enthusiast collapsed to the ground, his entire outfit consumed by flames. The fire seemed to possess a life of its own, roaring fiercely without any sign of extinguishing, yet it only surrounded him without spreading elsewhere. In front of him, Lu Qingqing appeared with the demeanor of a victor. She mocked, Haha, is this your strongest move? She shrugged challengingly, as if defeating him had been no difficulty at all. No matter what she said, the sword enthusiast was now too weak to respond. He looked so wretched that he evoked disgust, bulging eyes, mouth agape, his appearance extremely ugly. He died looking as unattractive as Yi Chen, shocking everyone around. What? He's dead. The shocking news brought immense joy to the onlookers. Lu Lingchen witnessed this thoroughly satisfying scene, but still couldn't believe it and had to ask again for confirmation. Sect leader, have you really broken through to the spiritual cultivation realm? Lu Qingqing responded a bit shyly. That's right, thanks to the inheritance from Grandmaster. I have gained the strength I possess now. She had truly become the idol of Wang Xian sect. Everyone looked at her with eyes filled with admiration. That's great, sect leader. Everyone was overjoyed. But Lu Qingqing did not forget her primary mission. She had to eliminate the scoundrels who dared to slaughter her sect. Looking up at the subordinates still hovering in the sky, her eyes blazed with anger. Traitors, your senior brother is dead, still not coming down to face your doom. Tang Zong appeared amidst his subordinates, his entire being exuding the strong scent of someone who had just tasted failure. He gritted his teeth and growled, "Who is it?" Then, unable to contain his anger, he bellowed like a pig being slaughtered, "Who killed my disciple?" The plump, bald man with a large behind was none other than the senior elder of the Divine Sword sect. His cultivation had reached the half-step divine transformation realm. No wonder the subordinates around him looked as if they had found a lifeline when he appeared, their faces brightening. Ha! The Grand Senior Elder is here. Lu Lingchen, in just one day, had continuously encountered terrifying figures. Each new person was even more daunting than the last, leaving him pale with fear. He hurriedly stammered, "It's over, sect leader. This is the Grand Senior Elder of the Divine Sword sect, Tang Zong. Our old sect leader died at his hands. You must leave now." Lu Qingqing, riding on her momentum, became even more audacious. In front of the figure regarded as a big shot in the world, she showed no signs of fear. She stepped forward and boldly confronted Tang Zong. "Oh, so the one who killed my master is your old dog." Everyone around was astonished by her bravery. Both the sect leader and his subordinates could only look on in fear, hoping for her safety. Tang Zong looked at Lu Qingqing with contempt, a faint smile on his lips. The new sect leader of a small Wang Xian sect was actually able to break through to the spiritual cultivation realm? How ridiculous! You dare to kill my beloved disciple? Let's see what you can do. But Lu Qingqing had no intention of listening to these words. She bluntly interrupted, "Old dog, stop barking. 10,000 fires dividing the heaven technique." With her words, a small flame appeared, slowly flying towards Tang Zong. He glanced in confusion, his eyes filled with disdain. What is this? Just a moment later, that tiny flame suddenly erupted into a violent blaze, the terrifying heat burning away his outer clothing and skin. The scene was even more horrifying than the battle with the sword enthusiast before. The fierce fire was so intense that it seemed to turn heaven and earth upside down, the overwhelming heat causing fear in all who witnessed it. Tang Zong screamed in agony. He panicked, unable to believe it. What? A mere spiritual cultivation realm could unleash power on par with the divine transformation realm? Lu Qingqing remained calm as she controlled the flames, her expression showing no strain at all. She coldly stared at him, softly saying, "Tang, old dog, go down to the Yellow Springs and apologize to my master." At the moment she thought she had fully grasped victory, successfully controlling the notoriously ruthless Tang Zong. He suddenly curled his lip in a disdainful smile. "Ha ha, really?" With just a thrust of his sword, he shattered the flames, piercing through the stronghold that Lu Qingqing had painstakingly maintained. The situation was immediately reversed, and the initiative fell into his hands. Tang Zong aimed directly at her, launching a lethal strike. This turn of events was completely unexpected. Lu Qingqing gaped, unable to evade or even counterattack in time. She stood frozen in place, helpless. Tang Zong's blow struck directly at her, making her cry out in pain. Q. All of Lu Qingqing's strength faded away. She collapsed onto the icy ground. The members of the sect rushed forward in concern. Lu Lingchen shouted in panic, "Sect leader." Lu Qingqing lay motionless, her face contorted in agony. Tang Zong's expression gleamed with viciousness. Amidst mock laughter, he declared, "Ha ha, did you think fighting was just about throwing flames from afar to win? Your practical combat experience is still too weak. Did you think I only know how to use a long sword? Wrong, I also have the long spear. Not only that, it's the diamond rock spear, the unbeatable hard weapon." As he spoke, he boasted, his eyes filled with a sense of triumph. "You must know that the ultimate rigid heart-protecting armor of your former sect leader is based on breaking through its hardness. Qingqing was just counterattacked, and her power was gradually weakening. It was difficult for her to get back up." Looking at the man in front of her, she indeed had some reservations in her heart. Tang Zong held two weapons in his hands, piercing through the sacred flames, striding forward. He said, "Now all I need to do is use my sword aura to blow away your fire, and with the long spear to attack, you will be unable to do anything to me." Without hesitation, he aimed a powerful strike straight at Lu Qingqing. At this moment, Qingqing was heavily injured. With her current agility, even dodging would be difficult, not to mention counterattacking. She anxiously thought to herself, "It's over, I can't withstand this." Just relying on the drastic increase in cultivation still cannot make up for the gap in actual combat. "Grandmaster, disciple apologizes to you." At that moment, Xiao Black, who had been standing still, suddenly leaped forward. It charged straight into the center of the battlefield. One of its hands intercepted Tang Zong's strike, preventing him from advancing. In fact, he couldn't even pull the long spear back out. Tang Zong's entire arm trembled violently. Under that terrifying resistance, even the hardest thing would shatter into hundreds of thousands of pieces. The face of Xiao Black was filled with murderous intent. "Get out of my way," he shouted loudly. Tang Zong looked down at the long spear in his hand, now reduced to mere fragments. He stood frozen, his face dazed, stuttering and unable to voice his thoughts. Fear was clear in his eyes. Everyone around him was no better off. They were all stunned, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. Everyone cried out in unison, "What?" The ground and rocks around them were flying all over the place, dust swirling everywhere. Tang Zong, even standing far away, had to hurriedly step closer to get a better look. As he walked, he yelled loudly, his face flushed with anger. Who dared to destroy my ultimate treasure diamond rock spear? You audacious beast." But Black Child looked even more terrifying than he did. His eyes glowed red like blood, his hands continually cracking their knuckles. The sound of grinding teeth echoed chillingly. "Ha!" A cold voice spoke up. The old master didn't want to take action, but if the Grandmaster learns that I didn't protect her well, I fear it would be hard to explain. With every word from Xiao Black, his entire being radiated thick spiritual power. His body suddenly transformed, becoming larger and more ferocious. Lu Qingqing was so frightened by the scene that she was left speechless. She stared blankly, murmuring, "Xiao Black can talk. Why is he getting so big?" Tang Zong could not hide his horror either. He stared wide-eyed at the increasingly larger figure before him, his mouth agape, cold sweat pouring down his face. Before him, Xiao Black was no longer an ordinary human. He was Black Thunder Bull, a true Dao King realm being. He stood there, his muscles bulging, exuding a majestic presence. And the most terrifying part was that he wore a wicked smile, directly staring at Tang Zong. Tang Zong could only exclaim in horror, "Black Thunder Bull!" Lu Qingqing could not help but widen her eyes, shivering as she thought, "That's why Xiao Black looks so familiar. Isn't this the Black Thunder Bull that chased me for 3 days in the 9 deaths, 1 life realm?" Lu Lingchen was the one with the most exaggerated expression. His whole body was covered in injuries, yet he kept trembling uncontrollably, his gaze fixed intently on the scene before him, both delighted and worried. "Why is the Black Thunder Bull appearing here? Is it a rare great monster come to help us?" Tang Zong felt that the situation allowed no room for hesitation. Without saying a word, he immediately knelt down. He knew that if he delayed or made a mistake, he would undoubtedly lose his life. Tang Zong sobbed and whimpered, trembling as he pointed at his disciples, betraying them. Great sir, no, great monster father. Please don't eat me. I have disciples here, you can eat them instead. His action left everyone in stunned silence. The situation changed too quickly, faster than the change of heart of an ex-lover. Lu Lingchen stared wide-eyed in amazement, directly begging for mercy. That's really unexpected. The Black Thunder Bull seemed very pleased. It reached out to inspect the corpses lying on the ground, grinning with delight. Oh, so you know I like this? Quite sensible. Tang Zong displayed a sycophantic demeanor. Ha, great monster. If you like to eat, then feel free to eat. If that's not enough, I will bring the disciple behind to make it a buffet. Black Child, even after transforming into the Black Thunder Bull, still retained the deeply ingrained gluttony. Upon seeing the food, he perked up immediately. All right, I'll have a taste. Tang Zong secretly hid the sword behind his back. He burned his lifespan, infused it with spiritual energy, and wore a cunning smile. If it's still not enough, he would suddenly strike, launching a deadly blow with an air of triumph. Then I'll kill you with just one move from the Dao King realm. Lu Qingcheng, witnessing the critical situation, quickly called out to warn Thunder Bull Sr. Lu Lingchen was also filled with anxiety. Be careful. Even as they both desperately warned him, the Black Thunder Bull remained lost in the joy of food, completely oblivious. Tang Zong was filled with confidence, sure of the victory in his grasp. Haha, it's too late. One must not underestimate deceit. This is a strike I've enhanced to the Dao King realm after burning my lifespan. He laughed triumphantly, thinking to himself, moreover, this thin little sword will become an assured point of attack that cannot be destroyed against its gigantic form. The sword drew closer to the Black Thunder Bull. Tang Zong's confidence soared to unprecedented heights. He thought, even the Black Thunder Bull of the Dao King realm absolutely cannot withstand this blow. This is the culmination of many years of practical combat experience I've gained, the experience of certain victory. Tang Zong's plan was about to succeed. The tip of the sword, saturated with dense and powerful spiritual power, charged towards the vital point of the target. Nothing could stop it. At this moment, it was unclear whether it was the overpowering scent of the corpse or the foul thoughts of Tang Zong that were too sensitive, but Black Thunder Bull felt an itch in its nose. It let out a few sounds to catch its breath before sneezing with a rumbling force. The sneeze resonated like thunder, emitting from its two nostrils. Not only did it turn the sword to ashes, but the force of the sneeze also caused Tang Zong to drop dead. He barely had time to let out a piercing scream before being reduced to charred flesh. Ha ha! Tang Zong screamed, his body jolted to the point of billowing smoke, his clothes completely burned off. He died in a state of utter nakedness, looking rather ridiculous. Meanwhile, Black Thunder Bull remained unfazed, seemingly unaware of what had just happened. Ugh, my nose itches too much, it muttered, completely oblivious to the fact that its earth-shattering sneeze had just saved its life. What's more, the sneeze had also eliminated one of the most powerful figures in the world. Both Lu Qingcheng and Lu Lingchen were in shock, their mouths agape as if wide enough to fit 3 meters. This shock was truly overwhelming for ordinary people like them. What the heck? The members of both sects were equally astonished. A mere sneeze had killed Tang Zong, and moreover he had died in a pristine condition. Black Thunder Bull furrowed its brow and angrily said, Sword enthusiast, your disciple is burnt. Just the smell is unbearable. I can't eat this. Can I eat you instead? Seeing no one respond, it turned around. Upon noticing all three were billowing smoke, Black Thunder Bull immediately grew furious and somewhat panicked. It shouted, Hey, why are you also burnt? Which dog did this? I've worked hard to get a snack. I'll have to kill him. Lu Lingchen and Lu Qingcheng stood below, their eyes wide in disbelief at what they were witnessing. He suddenly spoke up, enduring a fierce blow from a Dao King level, yet unharmed. Lu Qingcheng was startled, exclaiming, This defense is truly terrifying. Chen Xuan stood at a distance, observing everything through the spatial mirror, laughing heartily. Haha. Although Xiao Black is just a minor Dao King realm demon, among the same level, he's at the top. Xiao Black's defense can be said to be invincible. To break through his defense, one must either suppress him across levels or have a racial advantage. He leisurely continued, But the Wangxian sect, such a small place, how could they have anyone strong enough to defeat Xiao Black? As he spoke, Chen Zhuan silently thought, indeed, reading novels is quite exciting. Lu Qingcheng suddenly knelt down, crying as she said, I thought this was a gift from the Grandmaster to show his affection. Who knew it was actually a war beast? Lu Lingchen pointed at her, shouting, Sect leader, what's wrong? Are you injured? Everyone around gathered close. He thought to himself, it's not a physical injury, could it be a psychological trauma? At this moment, the group in the sky began to stir. Some people hurriedly turned back, shouting loudly, it's over. Senior Elder Tangzong is dead. Run quickly, help. Those below, seeing the crowd fleeing, joyfully cheered, fellow disciples. The life and death battle of the Wangxian sect, we have won. Ha ha. Suddenly, Lu Lingchen collapsed, his voice weak, cough cough. Thankfully the sect leader managed to save the sect in time. I can finally leave in peace now. Lu Qingcheng quickly turned back, worriedly shouting, Senior Elder Liu. She supported him, asking in panic, Senior Elder Liu, how are you? Black Thunder Bull immediately replied to her, this guy has burned through his entire lifespan, he must be dying soon. Hearing this, she asked back, what should we do? He frowned and answered, aren't you carrying Jade Spring Divine Soil? She was taken aback and responded, that's right. He continued, let him drink it. Upon hearing about the Jade Spring Divine Soil, the old man was so surprised that he was filled with burning rage. With a sad expression, he asked, Jade Spring Divine Soil, did the sect leader manage to obtain a drop from the Grandmaster? But since it has come to this, there's no need for it. Lu Lingchen gazed up at the clear sky, contentedly continuing the unfinished sentence. To hear the sect leader is willing to give such precious Jade Spring Divine Soil to me, this old man is already very satisfied. Now that I am approaching the Yellow Springs, that drop of Jade Spring Divine Soil should still be given to the young ones of Wangxian sect. Seeing that he seemed to be misunderstanding, she presented a full water pouch to him, and said, no, Senior Elder Liu, you've misunderstood. I have a lot of Jade Spring Divine Soil, you should drink it quickly. What just happened was so unexpected that he was taken aback, his eyes appeared ready to pop out. He thought to himself, what? A pouch of Jade Spring Divine Soil? He stammered in shock. Oh my, how can there be so much Jade Spring Divine Soil? Oh dear, it's spilled. Water from the pouch splashed onto the ground, and he bent down, saying, oh dear, the sect leader is too wasteful. May I lick it off the ground? Seeing him about to lick it, Lu Qingcheng quickly intervened. No need, Senior Elder Liu. She explained, Jade Spring Divine Soil has a large lake at the Grandmaster's place. This lake is very big. You can drink as much as you want. If it's not enough, I still have some, ensuring there's enough for the whole sect to share. As she spoke, she thought of Chen Zhuan's gigantic lake. Black Thunder Bull next to her smirked and said, yes, look at that rustic appearance. He has never experienced the world. Hearing that, an image of the gigantic lake appeared in his mind, making him astonished. Jade Spring Divine Soil is a whole large lake. No way, absolutely impossible. He shouted loudly, questioning her. Sect leader, are you joking? I wouldn't dare dream of this. Or is the old man dead? Seeing that he did not believe, she performed a spell to prove it. Lu Qingcheng gently said, Lu Senior Elder is not lying to you. Look here, this is the great Sun Yang body that the Grandmaster casually gave to me. And this Black Thunder Bull Senior is just a small beast among the countless fierce beasts that the Grandmaster possesses. Black Thunder Bull beside them angrily retorted, hey, the old master is not small. Witnessing this scene, Lu Lingchen was even more astonished. His worldview officially collapsed. Something that the Grandmaster could casually give away was indeed the great Sun Yang body. A fierce beast like Black Thunder Bull was actually considered small. Without hesitating for a second, he immediately gulped down the entire cup of Jade Spring Divine Soil. After finishing, he asked, is there more? Is it enough? Lu Qingcheng happily replied, enough, no need to rush. Everyone around also started to drink. Some approached her and asked, Sect leader, what should we do next to deal with the Divine Sword sect? She said seriously, "Haha, if the Divine Sword sect wants to slaughter us, the traitors can come together to watch the excitement, then let's fight." Upon hearing this, everyone's fighting spirit surged, and they were all ready to battle. She shouted loudly, "Today we have the inheritance of the Grandmaster. We must eradicate the Divine Sword sect." Everyone responded in unison, "Yes." An unbalanced battle officially broke out at the Divine Sword sect. On that day, the Divine Sword sect finally remembered the fear from 10 years ago, when it was dominated by Wang Qian's sect. The disciples of Divine Sword sect fled in panic, unable to withstand that kind of power. And humiliation of the past was repeating itself. Wang Qian's sect mercilessly slaughtered. Black Thunder Bull, with an evil grin, enjoyed watching the crowd flee in chaos. Lu Qicheng used the Great Sun Yang body, ruthlessly killing members of the Divine Sword sect without hesitation. The crowd was in disarray, and someone shouted, "Oh no, it's Black Thunder Bull and the Great Sun Yang body. Wang Qian's sect is rising again, everyone run quickly." Amidst the fleeing crowd, one person not only remained calm, but also angrily said, "What's all this noise? Why panic?" This person was none other than Nameless Sword. Seeing him, the fleeing crowd rejoiced. "Haha, sect leader! The sect leader has emerged. We hope the sect leader will save our sect." However, there were still some fearful people whispering to each other, "What are you thinking? Do you want the sect leader to go to his death?" The sect leader was seriously ill a month ago, and his strength has greatly diminished. Now Wang Qian's sect has divine weapon assisting them. The sect leader won't be able to stop them. Upon hearing this, the fleeing crowd knelt down, crying, "Sect leader, we implore you to escape with us." Nameless Sword smirked, his voice full of confidence. "Haha, do I need to do that?" The group exclaimed in astonishment, "Sect leader." The disciples looked at their sect leader, their eyes filled with worry. Behind him, the enemies were surrounding the sky with overwhelming power. One of them asked, "Sect leader, what should we do now?" Nameless Sword hovered in midair, gripping a sphere charged with immense magical energy. He coldly said, "Let them make their move. Even a small Wang Qian sect wouldn't dare to touch me. You all become my nourishment." Having said that, Nameless Sword forcefully threw the sphere in his hand, activating the soul-devouring pearl. The sphere instantly shone brightly, growing larger and larger, surrounded by dense arcs of electricity. The spiritual energy from the earth and all life around was being absorbed by this sphere, leaving nothing to escape. He opened the barrier, erecting a solid wall around the entire area. Inside, no one could escape, while outside, even the powerful Black Thunderbolt was stopped. This defying power made heaven and earth tremble, dust swirling around, thunder rumbling everywhere. At the same time, outside Divine Sword sect, Xiao Xiaoyu watched from a distance, her eyes unable to hide her astonishment at the horrifying power of this technique. She anxiously exclaimed, "Look, that's the soul-devouring pearl being activated." Xiao Longshu, upon hearing this, was startled and quickly said, "It's over. Are they really using the soul-devouring pearl to absorb power? We are too late." He seemed eager. "Right now, we have only found one national treasure. If the soul-devouring pearl is refined by them, the national master will surely punish us. Hurry up." Zhou Shouyu merely shrugged, appearing bored. "What a pity, what a pity." After saying that, the two of them immediately disappeared, merging into the void. At this moment, fear filled the Divine Sword sect. The disciples cried helplessly, continuously banging against the invisible barrier just erected, panicking incessantly. "What is happening? Why can't we get down the mountain? It seems like something is blocking us." However, more terrifying than being imprisoned was the feeling of their souls gradually separating from their bodies. One person cried out in pain, "My body, my soul feels like it's being torn apart." Bits of the soul were forcibly drawn from their bodies, flying toward a single direction. Lifeless bodies lay scattered across the ground, piled into heaps. The souls being extracted left behind pained groans. All the souls were absorbed by a gigantic sphere, causing it to grow larger and more powerful multiple times over. The Divine Sword sect suddenly transformed into a living hell with a chilling scene. The sky turned pitch black. bolts of furious lightning struck down at where the nameless sword was seated. However, the thunderous explosions could not drown out his maniacal laughter. He continuously broke through, from the peak of the divine transformation realm, to the first rank of the Dao King realm, and then onward to the second rank. He laughed loudly, his voice filled with pride and satisfaction. Ha ha! I have a feeling that this time I will shatter the chains that have bound me for 100,000 years. In the distance, Lu Qingcheng stood atop the Black Thunder Bull, her face full of worry. She turned to ask, "Senior, what is the situation over there?" Black Thunder Bull could only shake his head helplessly. "I don't know, but it seems someone is absorbing the souls of the disciples of the Divine Sword Sect." Hearing these words, she was incredibly surprised. "What?" At that moment, a voice echoed behind them, causing both to grow wary. "So it's you. No wonder the small Wang Xian sect dares to counterattack," Enchanting Demon said, her tone mocking. "So it turns out there is a mutant Black Thunder Bull in the legendary Great Sun Yang body." The aura from the opponent immediately made Black Thunder Bull break into a cold sweat. He couldn't believe his eyes. "The Black Aura, it's from the Demon Clan," Lu Qingcheng whispered, her expression unable to hide her astonishment. "What? Demon Clan?" Black Thunder Bull struggled to recall the terrifying memories from long ago. "That's right. The Demon Clan is adept at using Black Aura, very hard to kill. Moreover, they are inherently carnivorous, consuming humans and beasts to enhance their cultivation. But wasn't the Demon Clan exterminated by humans 100,000 years ago?" The terrifying Black Aura made even Black Thunder Bull wary. This indicated that the opponent was extraordinarily difficult to deal with. Lu Qingcheng began to realize their current unfavorable situation. "Senior, they are very difficult to handle, right? Then I'll hold one back, and you quickly deal with the other. How about that?" Black Thunder Bull nodded in agreement. The two charged forward, attacking head-on. This was their last resort, and they could only gamble like this. Enchanting Demon, seeing their serious demeanor, burst into a delighted laugh. "Are you ready to make a move?" She pointed at Lu Qingcheng. "I'll choose this beautiful little sister." Demonic Power was also ready for battle, curling his lips in a cold smile. "Then I'll play with this bull." Enchanting Demon rushed straight towards Lu Qingcheng, her voice filled with desire. "Little sister, I want your body." Lu Qingcheng cautiously observed her opponent. If Black Thunder Bull had said the situation was dire, she had to give it her all. "Then I must prepare to unleash a killing blow." Flames erupted from her hands. The wings ignite, life burns like fire, death like ashes. Heaven is scorched and the flames tear apart, slashing the sky. 1,000-foot-long fire blade was formed, slashing straight at Enchanting Demon without hesitation. She was astonished by this blow. What? On this side, Demonic Power delivered a powerful punch to Black Thunder Bull's face, distorting one side of his countenance. Despite the punch being thrown from a tiny arm, its power was terrifying. The speed of Demonic Power was so fast that Black Thunder Bull couldn't dodge in time, forced to endure the painful strike. He fell to the ground, while the demonic energy next to him looked on with great delight. "Haha, weak, the bull is too weak. Bring him back to boss. Boss will definitely praise me, praise me." But before he could laugh for long, he was struck repeatedly in the face. Black Thunder Bull's hand suddenly transformed into a long tentacle, tightly coiling around him. "You are mistaken, little brother." Black Thunder Bull grinned slyly. "Old Master took this hit just to draw your attention." He pointed up at the swirling storm of thunder and lightning roaring in the sky. "Aren't you paying attention to that?" Immediately, a lightning bolt struck the demonic energy, causing him to flail in desperation. His entire body in pain, he could only scream in despair. Elsewhere, Enchanting Demon was also writhing in a sea of flames, squirming like a fish thrown into a frying pan. His entire body was burning, with painful screams echoing. "Ah!" At this moment, Black Thunder Bull's tentacle remained tightly wrapped around Demonic Power. Enchanting Demon was not faring any better as he was ruthlessly attacked by Lu Qingcheng, his clothes in tatters. Lu Qingcheng and Black Thunder Bull exchanged satisfied glances, both saying in unison, "We succeeded." However, before they could rejoice, Enchanting Demon suddenly rose again. He lay close to Lu Qingcheng's ear, chuckling softly. "Haha, is that so?" The laughter startled Lu Qingcheng. Before she could react, Enchanting Demon struck her from behind, causing her to spit out a mouthful of blood. Cough, cough. In the blink of an eye, Enchanting Demon had transformed into the true form of the demon clan. His broad wings and long, characteristic horns became evident on his body. Lu Qingcheng exclaimed, "Spiritual cultivation realm can also unleash the strength of half-step divine transformation. So frightening." Enchanting Demon smirked, his eyes blazing red. "Unfortunately, you are not in the Dao King realm. Otherwise, I wouldn't have to be your opponent." As soon as his words ended, he continued to attack. Lu Qingcheng was struck hard from behind, toppling to the ground. Hearing this, Lu Qingcheng exclaimed in surprise, "What? In the state where I have unleashed all my divine power, the imperial capital remains unscathed." Black Thunder Bull was also knocked down. She coughed softly, looking at her guardian monster that had been defeated and couldn't help but worry. She spoke up, "Senior, haha, you get me so pleasantly, can you strike again?" Suddenly, a demon clan member flew up, holding a tentacle, or rather, the arm of New Man, which he had just severed. The demon laughed loudly, showcasing his power. He was demonic power, a being who had reached Dao King realm. Black Thunder Bull lay flat on the ground, heavily injured. Seeing Lu Qingcheng approach, he could only sigh in frustration. "Damn it, they are all Demon Clan Dao King realm. I simply cannot injure them." He coughed violently. Lu Qingcheng heard this and looked at the wounds on New Man, astonished, silently thinking, "The defensive senior is so strong, yet he is still heavily injured." When noticing that their opponent was out of strength, Enchanting Demon urged his companions, "Demonic power, quickly handle this. If not, boss gets angry, it won't be good." Demonic power nodded in agreement. Two Demon Clan members rushed forward with a massive surge of purple energy. At that moment, Lu Qingcheng, disregarding everything, spread her arms to block in front of them, shouting loudly, "If you want to harm Senior, you must go through me first." Black Thunder Bull shouted in panic, "Kid, get out of the way." But Lu Qingcheng remained resolute. She tightly shut her eyes, fearfully thinking, "It's over, the demon clan is too strong. I'll definitely die here today." The two demon clan members were oblivious to the fact that right behind them, two figures darted forward. A blazing red force struck directly into demonic power's abdomen, sending him flying. Enchanting Demon was also pierced by a surge of power, falling helplessly to the ground. This scene astonished Lu Qingcheng and New Man. Enchanting Demon turned around, holding his belly and groaning, "Cough cough, it hurts so much." Lu Qingcheng anxiously asked, "What just happened?" New Man was equally astonished, murmuring, "Is there anyone who can inflict damage on the demon clan?" Two figures stood in front of demonic power, sneering, "Haha, is this scene of battle from some sect actively attacking the demon clan?" Demonic power, heavily injured to the point of being unable to stand, could only stare at them, growling, "You." The two who defeated the demon clan were Xiao Longshu and Xiao Xiaoyu, both of whom were experts at the Dao King realm. Looking at the demon clan, who had collapsed and could not rise again, Xiao Xiaoyu sneered softly, "In this poor spiritual energy forest, there are still people who dare to challenge the demon clan." Truly unaware of their own limits, Xiao Longshu nodded in agreement, "That's right." At this moment, Lu Qingcheng spoke up, "So have the two seniors saved us?" New Man, hearing this, reminded her, "It seems so. Don't you hurry to thank them." Listening to New Man, Lu Qingcheng quickly took out a jade bag and bowed her head in gratitude. "Thank you very much for helping us, seniors. This kindness, our Wangxian sect will not know how to repay." Xiao Xiaoyu replied indifferently, not bothering to look at the jade bag, "Haha. There's no need for such mundane things to express thanks." Her words left Lu Qingcheng incredibly astonished. This was a type of extremely precious jade, something everyone would covet upon seeing. Yet this girl outright refused. Xiao Xiaoyu crossed her arms, coldly turning away, and added, "We did not come to save you, we only want to take back what is ours." Xiao Longshu reminded, remember this. The matters of the demon clan are not something that small sects in the mountains like yours can involve themselves in. Next time you face the demon clan, run as far away as possible. Did you understand? Lu Qingqing was somewhat dazed, then replied in a low voice, I understand. In her heart, she thought, these two seniors even disregard precious items like jade spring. They are truly good people, or they do not know how to appreciate valuable things. Suddenly, a cold voice echoed from the void. Himph. Giving you guys a little task and you can't even handle it. Truly a waste of effort. Everyone was startled and turned their heads. In front of them appeared a mysterious, eerie vortex that emitted a mysterious voice. Fortunately, I have refined the soul-devouring pearl. Now you will become a part of my power. Saying this, a force from the vortex shot straight down at the two defeated demon clan members. They screamed for mercy. Boss! No, don't. But it was too late. All their spiritual power was drained. Both the soul of the enchanting demon and the demonic power dissolved into the vortex before the horrified onlookers. The mysterious voice spoke again. 100,000 years. 100,000 years. From the vortex, a colossal sphere gradually formed, carrying an awe-inspiring power. A demon clan member with fierce red horns and white hair appeared. That voice just now belonged to him. He laughed loudly. Finally, I have reappeared in the human world. He is the primordial demon at the half-step Tao Emperor realm. His face is grotesque, and his pupils are merely streaks of deep red. New Man recognized this, exclaiming in horror, a half-step Tao Emperor realm demon clan. Sabi has been absorbing souls. Qingqing was also astonished. Isn't that nameless sword? How did he turn into a demon clan? On the other side, Xiao Yu sneered, so what if he's half-step Tao Emperor realm? With that, she and Xiao Longshu prepared to confront the primordial demon. The two of them dashed swiftly towards him, intending to launch a surprise attack from behind, just as they had taken down the two demon clan members before. Xiao Yu concentrated her power, her eyes glowing red, swinging her sword as a warning. You dare to steal our national treasure of the demon exterminators. Longshu followed suit, his gaze equally cold. Then you must die. Hearing this, New Man suddenly recalled something, muttering, Demon exterminator, I remember now. He turned to explain to Qingqing. The demon exterminators are those with the bloodline of the demon clan, born with the ability to contend against the demon clan. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, their ancestors made great contributions in fighting against the demon clan. Seeing Xiao Yu and Longshu battling, New Man confidently said, with them, we will undoubtedly win. However, before he could finish, both of them were easily tossed away by the primordial demon. He mocked, trash. Qingqing gasped in shock. What? Two seniors? New Man could not hide his panic either. No one expected that the power of the half-step Tao Emperor realm could overwhelm Xiao Yu and Longshu so easily. The two of them were violently thrown to the ground from the massive energy sphere created by the primordial demon. Xiao Yu struggled to get up, her body trembling, wondering, what kind of barrier is that? Longshu gritted his teeth, continuing, why isn't our attack able to break through him? The primordial demon shrank the energy sphere in his hand, his cold gaze looking at them. Looking down at the crowd that had lost all strength to fight back, he scoffed disdainfully. I knew that stealing the soul-devouring pearl would lead to a manhunt by your demon exterminators. But do you think I wouldn't be prepared? He raised the orb high, his eyes filled with pride. This was not an ordinary orb, but a treasure that had been refined into a magical artifact for protection, embodying the laws of heaven and earth. Its shield not only had the capability to bind enemies, but also served as a solid defense for himself. With this treasure, he was confident he would no longer fear any attacks. Xiao Yu quickly stood up, her face showing clear panic. This is bad. The laws of heaven and earth. He has reached a realm we cannot counter anymore. Longshu, hurry and get out of here. Longshu was not slow either, swiftly preparing to escape. But before running, he could not help but turn his head back, muttering curses. What bad luck, what bad luck, what bad luck. However, a half-step Dao Emperor realm expert would not easily let the two of them leave. He laughed coldly. "Wanna go?" Two demon exterminators at the Dao King realm, one divine body, one mutated black thunder bull, along with hundreds of disciples from Wang Xian sect. "Since you have brought so many big things here, you might as well stay and have a cup of tea with me first." As he spoke, he raised the powerful orb in his hand. The orb gradually swelled, emitting a dazzling light. Tendrils of power from the orb emerged, sharp as blades, attacking straight towards Jiao Yu and Long Shu. Jiao Long Shu spat out blood, crying out, "Oh no!" The surrounding villagers gradually knelt down, their bodies losing vitality. One person lamented, "My body is in so much pain." Then another groaned, "Ah, it hurts so much." Lu Qingcheng and Numa also struggled against this situation. Although their spiritual power had been drained, causing them agony, Qingcheng still worried for the villagers. She sighed, her face full of regret. "It's over, my disciples are all trapped. I acted on my own to lead the disciples of the entire sect to retaliate. Am I really going to die here today?" As she spoke, tears streamed down her face, not only from the pain, but also from the guilt of involving so many people. Inside the 9 Deaths, 1 Life realm, a group of monsters trembled, prostrating themselves. A voice from an old man rang out, laced with sarcasm. "Ha ha! Wasn't it said that 9 Deaths, 1 Life realm is teeming with ferocious beasts, and those who enter can hardly survive? So why are they all lying down when they see me?" The old man, leaning on his staff, slowly approached and continued. "I, the Jade Hall Venerable, have walked among humans for 1,000 years. Who doesn't know my reputation? Who hasn't heard of me? I just never expected that even in the 9 Deaths, 1 Life realm, I would be so renowned." His voice grew increasingly arrogant. "I am Wang Bai Yu, the Jade Hall Venerable, having reached the pinnacle of the Dao King realm." He spoke to himself, his expression full of self-satisfaction. "Surely, even if this is a place that instills fear in anyone who hears of it, in a little while, I too will become the strongest in this region." After saying this, he sang a line, as if to glorify himself. "Unmatched, how lonely it is." However, his self-satisfaction did not last long before a brilliant blue vortex suddenly appeared in the sky of this realm, shining directly down to the ground. Mr. Bai Yu was very astonished to see this. A gigantic hand descended from above, with Chen Zuan underneath it. Wen Bai Yu was startled and shouted out loud. He was panicked by what was happening in front of him. An old man with white hair and a pair of golden horns on his head seemed unable to stand firm. He knelt down hard on the ground, his body trembling, his brows furrowed. At this moment he could not utter a word. Only one question appeared in his mind. "Heaven, what is this?" Countless questions flooded his thoughts. Surrounded by numerous monster beasts, he wondered, "Why have I unconsciously knelt down like this?" Elsewhere in the sky, a strange radiant light of spiritual power suddenly appeared. Inside it was Chen Zuan, who was sitting on a floating boat in the vast sky. Chen Zuan asked, "System, I just picked up a sect. I want to greet the descendants of the sect. This surely doesn't count as taking action, right?" The system hesitantly replied, "No, it doesn't count." Hearing this, he opened his eyes. His eyes shone brilliantly like the radiant glow of a saint. In a melodic tone, he said, "All right then." Below, the sound of clashes between various auras continued to echo. Within the barrier, both sides had exhausted their strength. Those who still had enough energy to resist could be counted on one hand. Zhou Xiaoyu, her body now full of wounds, said, "I never expected that I, a demon exterminator, would soon die at the hands of the demon clan." Xiao Longshu, looking frustrated, shouted, "How unlucky, how unlucky, how unlucky." Lu Qingcheng could no longer keep herself standing. Dark lightning clung to her as she struggled to rise, her heart full of remorse. "Grandmaster, I'm sorry." She furrowed her brows, her eyes filled with sorrow. She called for Chen Zuan from the depths of her heart. "Grandmaster." Suddenly, a strange vortex appeared in the sky, dividing the heavens, with bolts of lightning continuously striking down. A voice echoed from within the whirlwind. "Hi, my younger generation. Hello, everyone. Instantly, Lu Qingqing recognized that voice belonged to him. She looked toward the vast sky, unable to hide her surprise on her face. The two Xios also quickly turned their gaze. The primordial demon was taken aback and turned his head, looking up at the sky where the spatial vortex was occurring. A multicolored hand emerged from the center of that vortex, enveloped in glowing spiritual power. Within that arm, there was the silhouette of a tall man, none other than Chen Chuan. He waved his hand to greet everyone, saying, "It's been a long time since we met. I am your beloved Grandmaster Chen Chuan. Are you all living well?" Black Thunder Bull seemed unable to believe the words just heard. It hesitantly asked, "This is?" Qingqing immediately sat up, respectfully calling, "Grandmaster." Primordial Demon remained silent, slowly observing and evaluating Chen Chuan. This person did not need external objects to unleash the power of the laws of heaven and earth. He thought to himself, he is a Tao Emperor powerhouse. He felt furious, his heart ablaze, sensing the threat from the person before him. How can this be? This is a desolate land, where a Tao Emperor realm can be supreme. Why has a Tao Emperor appeared here? Moreover, this person even claims to be the Grandmaster of Wangxian sect. Before him stood a young man with an incredibly handsome appearance. Suddenly remembering his purpose, Chen Xuan immediately raised his finger, reminding the younger generation standing there. He spoke in a gentle tone. "Right, the Grandmaster came here simply to greet you all. It is absolutely not to save you." Hearing those words, Primordial Demon felt relieved. He thought to himself, that makes sense. A powerful figure at this level, even if they see the younger generation of their own being killed, will not intervene. Life and death are part of the laws of heaven and earth. Those powerful beings like him have long seen through life and death, and they do not care to interfere. Suddenly he raised his hand, a bright smile on his face. He announced to his younger generation, "Ah, right, at Grandmaster's place, it's trendy to greet by shaking hands. Therefore, Grandmaster will shake hands with everyone." As soon as he finished speaking, his large hand descended like a storm. Chen Xuan, unaware of the danger in his way of greeting, sweetly reminded, "Remember to shout the slogan while shaking hands with me." At this moment, the Primordial Demon was truly at a loss. He was terrified beyond measure, with a flurry of chaotic questions in his mind. "Wait, why is he coming towards me?" He gritted his teeth, anger boiling within. Why have I endured for thousands of years to seize the body of the sect leader of Divine Sword Sect? Why have I patiently accumulated for 100,000 years to refine the soul-devouring pearl? I've always acted modestly. Why must I encounter this kind of powerhouse? Does heaven intend for my demon clan to perish? No, I cannot die here. He yelled, "I must fight." Immediately, he summoned his strongest technique, activating the entire bloodline of the demon clan. The primordial demon unleashed a massive fire, deep red like blood. The flames gradually turned purple, enveloping his entire body. This was the ultimate opening move, tapping into the full power of the soul-devouring pearl, because even the Tao Emperor was merely a person after all. Despite the fact that even the Tao Emperor has weaknesses, it is not impossible to achieve victory. Power gradually gathered in his hands, forming a mysterious weapon. He silently reassured himself, activating the full heavenly sword battle oath. "After all, I am a true member of the demon clan," he muttered, "and I am just a half-step away from reaching Tao Emperor." At this moment, the primordial demon had evolved to its final high tier. With white hair, imposing devil horns, and a body enveloped in a massive amount of demonic energy, he had become the most complete and powerful form. In his hand was a long sword filled with dark energy, and his eyes were cold with lethal intent. Chen Xuan smirked, his gaze flashing with mischief. He loudly recited the mantra, "Ha, now is the time to end it." As soon as he finished speaking, he pointed to command the primordial demon sit peacefully. At maximum speed, his hand shot forward like a rocket towards his opponent. He stood there, seemingly oblivious to the terrifying danger he was about to face. His voice rang out with confidence and arrogance. "Ha, bring on the battle. Right now I am in a state of full prosperity, the pinnacle existence on this continent. Even if the heavens themselves came, they couldn't kill me. I am invincible. I won't keep primordial demon waiting. He struck a powerful slap as if the heavens had crashed down on the enemy's face, distorting the face of the primordial demon to such an extent that it appeared severely deformed and utterly unsightly. The impact caused one side of his face to swell up, his entire head flattened like a deflated ball. His mouth gaped open, teeth and lips in disarray, his tongue nearly falling out. The primordial demon was caught off guard, directly attacked by Chen Zhuan. With just one move, Chen Zhuan sent him flying thousands of miles away. As a result, continuous explosions erupted. The mountains and forests trembled, rocks and debris flew everywhere, and dust billowed into the air. The destructive power of a Tao emperor was indeed terrifying. The people of mysterious heaven, who had been in seclusion for 100,000 years, were left speechless, stunned by the scene. Their bodies trembled, their eyes filled with horror. The body of the primordial demon gradually faded into dust. He struggled to utter his final words. I am not willing. If anyone were to look back at the history of the Han continent from 100,000 years ago to investigate, they would find that just a few seconds later, the primordial demon had completely vanished from the world. His body had turned to ashes. On every page of history, people wrote down the phrase, the strongest mystical heavenly emperor. After the terrifying collision, a cloud of dust spread to where the younger generations were standing. They hurriedly covered their eyes to avoid the billowing dust. A choked sound echoed in the suffocating atmosphere. If you do not believe what history records about Chen Zhuan, take a look back at the legend of that year. By midnight, the sphere formed from the array began to swell. Thin, the sphere suddenly cracked open, shattering into hundreds of thousands of fragments. In every line of the record, you will discover that the history of the invincible mystical heavenly emperor actually only recorded two similar words. Chen Zhuan smiled, a smile of the savior. That was the moment he used a final move to annihilate the demon clan, a technique known as Hodon. After the tremor, a long and massive stone wall was formed. The dust had not settled, and the echoes of the battle still resonated. Not only etched into the natural landscape, but also deeply inscribed in the minds of those who witnessed it with their own eyes. Everything had unfolded exactly as Chen Zhuan desired. Chen Zhuan turned around, looking towards the younger generation, and said goodbye. All right, greetings done. I'm off now. King Zhuan stepped forward, his whole figure blending into the high layers of clouds. Before disappearing from sight, he managed to shout down, Next, you all must strive to study hard. Progress every day, okay? Grandmaster is leaving. Bye-bye. The two siblings of the Qiao family could not hide their astonishment. Xiao Yu, clutching her injured arm, stammered, who was that powerful person? Xiao Longshu immediately followed up. Even in our kingdom of vast moon, facing such a powerhouse is like facing a swarm of ants. Suddenly, a voice from behind broke the confusion in their hearts. Everyone, the person just now is the first grandmaster of our Wang Xian sect, from 100,000 years ago. Lu Qingqing immediately ordered the younger generations, Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and respond to Grandmaster's greeting. The disciples quickly shouted in unison, Give me 5, give me 5, give me. Oh yeah, the Qiao siblings stood frozen in shock at the unfolding events before them. Xiao Longshu's face turned pale as he stammered. That formidable figure is the grandmaster of this third-rate sect. It's not just third-rate, it might even be a super-tier super sect. We must find a way to establish good relations with them. Xiao Yu replied, her voice trembling. That's true, but our attitude towards them previously was quite poor. The two siblings leaned in closer, whispering and discussing. Xiao Longshu suggested, How about we present a gift to make amends? Xiao Yu nodded in agreement, a glimmer of hope flashing in her eyes. The two quickly devised a plan. She called out to Lu Qingqing from behind, her tone filled with respect. Senior. The Qiao siblings bowed their heads low, presenting their offerings to her. Xiao Longshu said, Although the soul-devouring pearl is lost, we still possess a national treasure known as the Map of Destiny. Xiao Yu added, We hope you will accept it as a token of gratitude for the Grandmaster's life-saving grace. In response to the change in their attitude and actions, Lu Qingqing could not hide her surprise. She hurriedly declined. The star map. That's a treasure map that records the location of the great power lost. It's too significant, I can't accept it. Being rejected, the two of them immediately became sullen, looking at each other as if they understood each other's thoughts. She must be looking down on us. They immediately knelt down, bowing their heads in supplication. Senior, if you do not accept it, we will stay here with you forever. That's right, we will keep bowing until you agree. Faced with their sincerity, Lu Qingqing reluctantly accepted. All right, I'll accept it. You two hurry up and stand up. Achieving their goal, the two of them happily bid farewell to Lu Qingqing, their faces unable to conceal their excitement. Great, Senior, then we're off. She gently smiled in response. All right, go ahead. Xiao Longshu still felt it was not enough. Before leaving, he suggested, before we go, how about we do it one more time? She connected his sincerity and quickly waved her hand. Ah, it's really not necessary. After they left, she breathed a sigh of relief, turned to the young disciples, and smiled faintly. Lu Qingqing said, "Hemph, the Grandmaster said to let me decide, yet in the end I still couldn't hold back and took action." On the craggy cliff where the Divine Sword sect once stood, there was now only a desolate scene. The marks left on the battlefield were enough for anyone, even the most foolish, to imagine the brutality of the battle that had just occurred. Receiving help from Chen Zuan, Lu Qingqing self-deluded herself. The Grandmaster truly loves me to death. To the extent that the author also wanted to knock some sense into Lu Qingqing, saying, "No, you are simply overthinking it." Lu Qingqing was as happy as a festival. She danced and said loudly, "All right, disciples. Today, the battle with the Divine Sword sect, Wangxian sect, we have won. From now on, we must not let down Grandmaster's expectations. We must strive to cultivate diligently." The disciples all raised their fists, expressing their determination. In another place, a strange vortex appeared in the sky, surrounded by fierce thunder and lightning.